Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure everybody is getting inspired by the ideas that has been shared here, right here on the TED Talk today. I'm going to share another idea, which is the paradox in hiding today. In hiding today, let me start with a simple exercise. If you all can close your eyes and think about the best hire you have ever made in your life. And the person that you thought of, maybe that person brought in a different energy into the room. Maybe they've solved the problems better than the others. Or maybe slowly the team started to depend on and they have performed far better than the others. Now, think for a moment, how did you find him? And that will realize, wow, where have you been all my life? Now, the reason I am asking that question is, how did you find? Was it because of the beautifully structured interview process? Was it the perfectly designed hiring process? Or over a period of time, the candidate pipeline that was built by the recruiters? Or maybe it's something else. Maybe it was a conversation that you have had with the candidate. Maybe it's a gut feeling, or maybe it's just a luck. Let me be honest with you all. The best hire that you get are rarely from the best design hiring process. It's through the human insight. Now let's flip on the other side. Let's talk about the wrong hire, right? So companies are terrified of wrong hires and they have the right reason to do it because wrong hires are expensive. They cost time. They cost the very morale that the team has. Sometimes it even impact the culture that you have built. So companies and the organization needs to do something about this wrong hire problem, right? So usually what organizations do, what they usually do is build the process. And when they build the process over a period of time, they try to mature those process as they go along. Now what they do to build that process is add more interview rounds, more evaluation forms. They prepare a scorecard to measure every metric that they could. And they start to measure the time to hire, the cost of hiring, the candidate pipeline, and all the right metrics. On paper, everything looks perfect, logically perfect. The more structure you add in your process, the better control you have on your hiring, right? But something starts to change as your company grows, as you get more volume, as your hiring moves from dozens of applications per job role to maybe hundreds or thousands of resumes that you receive for that job role. And the process and the very process that you have built over a period of time start to behave differently. Now, let me paint you a picture and walk you through a real story. Let me introduce to someone I'll call Priya. Priya is a very smart recruiter. She's talented, experienced. She is really good at spotting a talent. She's recognizing the potential. She loves to have meaningful conversation with the candidate. And she even loves the moment when she calls the candidate and say, hey, congratulations, our team loves you. And we are willing to move forward with your application. But something changes with Priya over a period of time. As company grows, they have more job roles on the portal. They have more openings per the job role on their portal. Now, this is how the day-to-day work look like for Priya after the company started to grow. Her inbox is full, flooded with all the resumes. Her manager is waiting for feedback. The candidates are waiting for the responses from Priya, and she has 4 more interviews lined up on that day. Now, how is she going to manage all of that work? And on top of that, she has to go through all these resumes. Now, something that happens to Priya, she adapts. Now, instead of going through the resumes, what she do is she looks for the signals. Either it's a good college, good university, recognizable company, and also trying to find the keywords. What happens here is instead of a resume processing, resume analysis, it becomes 6 decision on the resume itself. Doesn't necessarily, Priya is not doing anything wrong here. She's just following the process. The very process that organization has built to help them hire better. But as we are human, as we operate under extreme scale, invisible pressure starts to appear. The pressure of time, the pressure of volume, and the decision fatigue, and much more. And when this pressure increases, our brain naturally try to find the shortcuts. The shortcuts that I talked about, university, college, some recognizable keywords, or probably the companies that the candidate has worked. Now, what has shifted for Priya was she wasn't looking at the potential. She was just trying to find the signals. So it implemented the biases. Now, this is just about the resume. It doesn't stop here. It follows the candidate into the interview room as well. Now, think about how the standard or the interview round looks like today. The interviewer has a checklist of questions that they want to ask the candidate. On top of that, they have maybe 4 more calls or maybe back-to-back interviews. Now, what happens with these interviews are they slowly starts to become from a conversation to a checklist. Now, what interviewer then try to find out is, did this candidate answer what was expected from him? If answer is yes, okay. If no, okay, all right, next candidate. The very goal of finding out is this the right person becomes, can we close this and move on to the next application? So on top of that, the candidates who came from a different background, different surrounding, they might answer the questions differently. Not wrongly, but differently. But because the interviewer is expecting and trying to fit that into a template, that that candidate filters out. Or maybe that is a perfect candidate for you. This is the process with the interviews. Now, further to deep dive into the interview process, we did some experiment to understand what are the other problems that could happen in the interview. So what we did, we brought 6 experienced interviewers along with the candidate in a conference room. The task for the interviewers was to score the response of the candidate. Simple enough, right? It's the same room, same candidate, same answer, but something surprisingly was revealed after the scores came from these interviewers. The scores were not uniform. The score, let's say if it's a bad answer, it should be between like 0 to 3 or something like that in the proximity. But if the answer is good, it should be between 7 to 9 or 7 to 10 if the answer was good. But in this case, something drastically happened. The scores were between 4 and 9. That revealed something important, that the answers, the judgment that these interviewers had were purely subjective. And that has happened because, not because of lack of these experienced interviewer, it's purely because everybody was expecting something different. So that revealed that the interviewers are purely subjective. Now, we have to look at all these, the problem with the resumes, the problems with the interviews. We have to retrospect something. So we did some analysis and we figured out something critical about the hiring process. What we do is the most hiring systems are built to optimize the process. But there are very few who build to optimize the outcome. This is very important. Let me repeat that. Most of the hiring processes are built to optimize the hiring process. But then there are very few, rare in fact, are built to optimize the outcome. Think about all the metrics that we look at. It's time to hire, cost per hire, the number of interview rounds, the success of interviews, the number of candidates joining. These are all efficient metrics. But how do we measure something far more important, far beyond what we needed? Is this the right person? Did this person grow in their role? Did this person brought impact to the team or to the organization? And this is the biggest paradox of hiring. We have, over a period of time, we have become very good at measuring how best or how fast we hire. but then rarely we look at the metric, how best and if you're hiring the right person. Now, with that, there are a lot of metrics that are unseen in the hiring process, which I'm going to talk about. There is no metric to track the boredom that sets in after hours of interview. There is no metric to track cognitive fatigue that turns your interview into checklist. There is no spreadsheet that tracks that the biases that kicked in into interview process just because the interviewer was tired. And more of that, what was meant to be a very personal and a human thoughtful process starts to become a rushed mechanical workflow. Now with that, I have seen this all, like the problem with the resumes, problem with the hiring, problem with all the processes that have been built over the years. We've started to ask very simple question. How can we fix this? How can we how can we build hiring process with the same set of people, same hours of the day, and with far more precision than what it is today? So the answer was how technology can take the mechanical parts of the hiring process so that human can get what human do best in the hiring process. And I need to be really careful here because the moment I'm going to say AI, I know what's going to happen in this room. Most of you or some of you might lean forward with an excitement. Oh, something new, something's going to change. Something is bringing new on the table. And some will lean back with the fear. Oh, he's talking about replacing jobs. I'm not here to talk about replacing anyone's job. Simply, I'm talking about giving Priya what she was really best at, what she was really good at, having meaningful conversation with the candidate, having look at the potential of the candidate. Now, think about a simple workflow. Imagine a technology where Priya posted a job on a portal, and then suddenly the resume starts coming in. Now, this is where AI or a technology can help to support that very first step of resume analysis. The moment candidate applies on the job, the technology helps. It starts to analyze those resumes. It looks at multiple dimensions of the resume, not just like keywords, university, college, and things like that. It looks at the number of years of experience, the relevant experience the candidate has, the domain that they have worked in, whether they have the domain that we are looking for, is that the fit for that candidate. So much more than what human could do in the 6 seconds. AI does that for hundreds or thousands for every damn resumes within fraction of minutes. That's the beauty that brings the technology. And what happens is that then Priya, just after the resumes are being analyzed, the technology can generate the scoreboard for those resumes. And it automatically filters out which doesn't fit or match the score. Now what Priya gets is the qualified list of the candidates. Instead of hundreds or thousands of resumes, now she can purely focus on the top 10, 20, or maybe 30 resumes, which she can go back and have a conversation with. There is no rush, not keeping anyone in the loop. Purely just looking at the metric and then have a discussion with them. This is with the resumes. How about AI can help in the screening rounds? How about AI um, helps in the interviews? What if AI takes over and drives the very screening call that you have, and the maybe even a first technical round of an interview, so that the when the so Priya, what she does is she gets these resumes and then she schedules the AI interview round for the candidate. The candidate go home at their own pace. They take the interview. The AI automatically analyze the responses of the candidate and delivers the report for that. AI just doesn't listen the response, it analyzes and asks follow-up questions. So we are at the stage where technology is ready to do and deliver that kind of impact on the interview process as well. Now, after doing this, something starts to change in the hiring process. What we have seen is that after we brought technology into the hiring process, something meaningful start to happen. The recruiters, which otherwise they did not have a time, they start to have time to have a meaningful conversation, meaningful, impactful conversation with the candidate. They start to find potential. Now, with technology, all of this has been settled, and the systems have far more improved. And uh, so the impact of that is the recruiters are now started to spend more time on what they're really good at. They spot the talent, they start to recognize the value of the candidate, they start to find the curiosity, the creativity of the candidate, and much more other things which otherwise they were not able to get that. Now, we didn't have the system problem, or we did not have the talent problem along the way, because the volume that kicked in, we didn't have a talent problem, we had the system problem. And now the good news is that the system problem have a technology solution. The technology is really good at handling scale, handling consistency, handling pattern matching. But the human is far more beyond smarter in handling the things which technology is still struggling with. Is trying to identify the patterns, understand people, understand reading the story behind them, and finding the potential, and also for the future of the company. Now, with that, recruiter can really focus on who should join our team, who should join our team. Now, with that, the combination of the human and technology within that very process of hiring brought the solution to the simple paradox. And that is automate the volume, protect the judgment, and you'll find the people worth finding. Thank you.